Well, let's assess where we are right now. Joining me to discuss it is Rami Khouri, who's Professor of Journalism and Public Policy at the American University in Beirut. Rami, welcome to the show. What's your sense of the position right now? We've had this toing and froing of statements. Where do you think we're at?
It's a continuation of the dynamic that we've experienced for the last 5 weeks. There's really very little new in these accusations and denials. The fascinating, important new element is the statement that came out 2 days ago by the Saudis and the other 3 countries who are laying siege to Qatar, laying out 6 principles that they say Qatar needs to adhere to resolve the crisis. And there's no more mention of the 13 original non-negotiable demands, which were so outrageous and unrealistic that nobody in the entire world essentially supported them. So these 6 new principles offer a possible path towards a negotiated resolution. The Qataris, in their statement today, have tried to, as they have from the beginning of this crisis, to maintain a certain decorum, anchoring this dispute in existing legal frameworks or even GCC frameworks for conflict resolution. That is, if there are accusations against Qatar, let them be raised and they can discuss them in the appropriate forum and resolve them according to existing laws and regulations and agreements. And so this is a continuation of the Qatari policy that's willing to discuss these issues. The other side, the Saudis and Emiratis and the others, have essentially made, it seems that they have made a shift now, which is a sensible thing to do. I think we need to applaud them for this, if it is a shift, by coming up with these 6 principles that are very broad, and the Qataris shouldn't have any problem agreeing to these broad principles once they're fully defined.
Okay, so on that basis,
opposing terrorism.
Sure. On that basis, we've got Boris Johnson, the UK Foreign Minister. We've got Rex Tillerson arriving in the region on Monday. Do you think we are now then, judging by what you're saying, I think you do think this, that we are closer to a possible negotiated diplomatic resolution?
I think we probably are moving in that direction. The critical element was the more direct and more clear American intervention, because, you know, in the beginning, the Americans, the White House and the State Department were saying completely different things, and the Defense Department. So nobody knew what American policy was because there wasn't a single policy. That's changed. The Americans have come down clearly for a negotiated end of this conflict. And the more important thing is that the American president directly has called the leaders of these countries involved, and now Tillerson is flying to the region. This enhanced level of American direct involvement certainly has pushed the countries of the siege, the Saudis, Emiratis, and the others, has pushed them to try to maybe come up with a different approach. You know, if there are legitimate grievances or complaints against Qatar or any other country, they should be discussed. And Qatar is saying, you know, the things that Qatar is accused of are things that are done by Kuwaitis and Emiratis and Saudis, relations with Iran, funding Islamists, etc. So these can all be put in a basket and discussed and resolved. There shouldn't be a problem to resolving these issues. And I think there's an opening now to do that, which hasn't existed in the past 5 weeks. So it's the fact that the British, the Germans are getting directly involved. The Germans have said that they have Qatari acceptance to allow German intelligence officials to look into Qatar's finances to check out any accusations against Qatar for, say, funding terrorists or Islamists or things, or you know, upsetting people's security. So these are tangible steps moving away from just accusation and counter-accusation towards identifying a set of principles which now the mediators have to put into a negotiating context, and hopefully wiser adult minds will prevail.
Rami, appreciate that. Thank you very much indeed for your view there. Rami Khouri in Beirut.